The kitchen smelled like cardboard and regret. Lily stood at the counter of her ex-husband's apartment, arranging store-bought cookies onto a proper serving plate. She'd done this 100 times before, made his space look lived in, warm, like a home instead of the sterile bachelor pad it actually was. The irony wasn't lost on her. "They're here," Ethan called from the living room, his voice tight. She smoothed her sweater and joined him by the door. For a moment, they stood side by side in silence, two strangers about to perform a play they'd rehearsed for 14 months. His parents' voices echoed in the hallway, cheerful, unsuspecting. "Ready?" he asked quietly. Lily nodded. Then Ethan did something unexpected. He reached for her hand. His palm was warm, familiar in a way that made her chest ache. She didn't pull away. When the door opened, they were smiling. "There they are." Margaret rushed forward, pulling them both into a hug that smelled like lavender and home cooking. "My beautiful kids." Behind her, Tom clapped Ethan on the shoulder, his grip still strong despite the tremor in his left hand that had started 6 months ago. The same tremor that had kept Lily and Ethan locked in this lie. "How's my favorite daughter-in-law?" Tom asked, kissing Lily's cheek. The words hit like they always did, a reminder that she wasn't a daughter-in-law anymore. Just an actress in a tragedy pretending to be a romance. "Busy with work," she said, because it was true. "But good. Always good to see you both." They settled into the evening's familiar rhythm. Margaret fussed over the apartment while Tom and Ethan discussed quarterly reports and stock portfolios. Lily set the table with practiced efficiency, knowing exactly where Ethan kept everything because she'd organized these cabinets herself 3 years ago. Dinner was pasta, Ethan's signature dish, the only thing he could cook without setting off the smoke alarm. Lily had taught him to make it during their first year of marriage, back when teaching each other small things felt like building a life together. "So," Margaret said, her fork pausing midair. "Any news you want to share?" The question hung in the air like a landmine. Lily felt Ethan's leg tense beside hers under the table. "News about what, Mom?" he asked carefully. Margaret's smile turned knowing. "Well, you've been married 4 years now. I was just wondering if maybe." She trailed off meaningfully. Tom cleared his throat. "What your mother is trying to say, subtly as always, is that we're not getting any younger. We'd love to meet a grandchild before we're too old to enjoy them." Lily's throat tightened. She reached for her water glass to buy time, but Ethan spoke first. "We're taking our time," he said smoothly. "There's no rush." "That's what you said last year," Margaret pointed out. "And the year before that." "Mom. I'm just saying, sweetheart. Life doesn't wait for the perfect moment. Sometimes you have to create it." After dinner, Lily washed dishes while Ethan walked his parents to their car. Through the window, she watched him hug his mother, saw the way Margaret cupped his face with both hands, the gesture of a woman who loved fiercely and completely. The same way she'd welcomed Lily into the family, throwing her a surprise bridal shower, calling her every Sunday just to chat. Lily's hands stilled in the soapy water. They were lying to people who deserved better. But the alternative felt impossible. Tom's doctor had been clear, stress could trigger another cardiac episode. And Margaret's anxiety medication had already been increased twice this year. The truth could wait. It had to. "They're suspicious," Ethan said, closing the door behind him. Lily dried her hands on a dish towel. "They've been suspicious for months. We're too polite. Married couples argue. We used to argue." The words settled between them, heavy with memory. Their arguments had been spectacular, passionate, exhausting, ultimately destructive. They'd fought about career choices, future plans, the invisible timeline that had divided them. Lily wanted to build her consulting firm. Ethan wanted stability, tradition, the kind of family life his parents had modeled. Neither had been willing to compromise. The divorce had been Ethan's idea, but Lily had agreed too quickly, too readily. Pride had kept them both from admitting the truth, that losing each other hurt more than any argument ever had. "I should go," Lily said. "It's late." "You could. I'll take a cab." She grabbed her purse, suddenly desperate for air. The apartment felt too small, too full of ghosts. But Ethan was already reaching for his keys. "I'll drive you." The ride to Lily's apartment was silent except for the hum of tires on asphalt and the distant murmur of late-night radio. They'd made this drive 1,000 times, knew every shortcut, every pothole. Some routes you could navigate in your sleep. "Thank you," Lily said when he pulled up outside her building. "For tonight. For all of this." Ethan's jaw tightened. "You don't have to thank me. We're in this together." "Are we?" The question escaped before she could stop it. "Because most of the time, it feels like we're just two people pretending we know each other." He turned to face her, and in the dim glow of streetlights, she saw something flicker across his expression, something raw and unguarded. "I know you," he said quietly. "I know you drink your coffee black because you're too impatient to wait for it to cool. I know you reorganize your bookshelf when you're stressed. I know you hate surprises but love thoughtful gestures. I know," he stopped himself, looking away. "I know things about you that haven't changed." Lily's throat burned. "People change, Ethan. We changed. Did we? Or did we just stop trying?" She didn't have an answer for that. Instead, she opened the car door and stepped into the cool night air. "Good night, Lily." But she was already walking away, heels clicking against concrete, running from a conversation she wasn't ready to have. 3 weeks later, Lily's phone rang at 2 in the morning. "It's Dad," Ethan's voice cracked. He fell. "They're taking him to the hospital now." The emergency room was fluorescent bright and antiseptic cold. Lily found Margaret in the waiting area, mascara streaked across her cheeks, hands trembling as she gripped her purse. "Lily." Margaret grabbed her, holding tight. "Thank God you're here." "What happened?" He was dizzy. Lost his balance on the stairs. "They think he might need surgery on his hip." Margaret's voice broke. "He's 73. I can't lose him. I can't." "You won't," Lily said firmly, though she had no authority to make such promises. "He's strong. He'll be okay." Ethan appeared from around the corner, his shirt untucked, hair disheveled. He looked younger somehow, more vulnerable than Lily had seen him in years. Their eyes met across the waiting room, and something passed between them, an understanding, a shared fear. They waited together through the long night. Lily brought Margaret tea while Ethan paced the hallway, making calls, coordinating with doctors. Around dawn, a surgeon emerged with cautious optimism. The hip was fractured but reparable. Recovery would take months. "He'll need round-the-clock care initially," the surgeon explained. "Physical therapy, medication management, assistance with daily activities." Margaret looked stricken. "I can't do it alone. I'm not strong enough." "You won't be alone," Lily heard herself say. "I'll help." Everyone turned to stare at her. "Lily, you don't have to," Ethan started. "Yes, I do." She met his gaze steadily. "He's family." The words were true in a way that transcended paperwork and legal dissolution. Tom had taught her to appreciate jazz music, had walked her through difficult financial decisions when her business was struggling, had treated her like the daughter he'd never had. Some bonds couldn't be severed by divorce. Margaret's eyes filled with fresh tears. "You do that? Even with your work schedule?" "I'll make it work," Lily said. And she meant it. Moving back into Ethan's apartment felt surreal. She set up camp in the guest room, the same room they'd once planned to convert into a nursery. The walls were still painted that soft sage green she'd chosen, a reminder of futures that never materialized. Tom came home from the hospital on a Tuesday. They'd converted the living room into a temporary bedroom, filling it with medical equipment and comfort items. Margaret fussed over every detail while Ethan assembled furniture with quiet efficiency. Lily coordinated medication schedules and physical therapy appointments, her consulting work relegated to late-night hours after everyone else had gone to bed. The apartment became a hub of controlled chaos, nurses coming and going, Tom's grumpy observations about daytime television, Margaret's anxious hovering. And through it all, Lily and Ethan orbited each other like planets caught in familiar gravitational pull. They developed a routine. Ethan handled morning care before work. Lily managed the afternoon shift, working from the kitchen table between therapy sessions. Evenings, they took turns making dinner, their movements synchronized in the small kitchen. "You remembered," Ethan said one night, watching her prepare his father's meal. What? No salt. Dad's blood pressure medication. Lily shrugged. I remember lots of things. Like how Ethan took his coffee with cream but no sugar. How he rubbed the back of his neck when he was stressed. How he always checked the front door 3 times before bed, a quirk that used to drive her crazy and now felt oddly comforting. The first real crack in their careful distance came 2 weeks into Tom's recovery. Lily was helping Tom into bed when he caught her wrist. Can I ask you something? Of course. Why are you really here? She froze. What do you mean? You're a smart woman, Lily. Ambitious. You've got clients all over the country. Yet you're spending 16 hours a day taking care of an old man who can barely walk to the bathroom. His eyes were sharp despite the pain medication. That's more than daughterly duty. That's love. Lily's throat tightened. You're important to me. And my son. The question hung between them like a confession waiting to happen. Lily carefully finished adjusting his pillows, buying time. Ethan and I are complicated, she finally said. Marriage is always complicated. Tom shifted, wincing. Margaret and I almost divorced. Did you know that? Lily stared at him. The image of Tom and Margaret, solid, unshakable, nearly ending their marriage seemed impossible. It was about 30 years ago. I wanted to relocate for work. Better position, more money. Margaret didn't want to leave her family, her community. We fought for months. Terrible fights. Said things we both regretted. He paused, catching his breath. I actually packed a bag once. Made it all the way to a hotel before I realized something. What? That winning the argument meant losing everything that mattered. Success, money, pride, none of it meant anything if I was alone. His eyes found hers. Sometimes we build walls to protect ourselves from getting hurt. But those same walls keep out the people we need most. Lily blinked back tears. What if the walls are there for a reason? What if some relationships aren't meant to be fixed? Then you live with that decision. But make sure it's actually what you want, not just what you're afraid of wanting. Tom squeezed her hand. Whatever happened between you and Ethan, that's your business. But don't let pride or fear keep you from being honest about what you need. That night, Lily couldn't sleep. She wandered into the kitchen at midnight and found Ethan already there, nursing a glass of whiskey at the table. Can't sleep either, he asked. She shook her head, pouring herself wine. They sat in companionable silence, the kind they'd fallen into during late nights early in their marriage when words felt unnecessary. Your dad said something today, Lily began. He's on a lot of medication. He says all kinds of things. He asked why I'm really here. Ethan's fingers tightened around his glass. What did you tell him? I didn't have a good answer. She met his eyes. Why am I here, Ethan? We're divorced. I should be moving on with my life. Instead, I'm sleeping in your guest room and coordinating your father's physical therapy schedule. Because you're a good person. That's not enough of a reason. Then why did you offer? His voice was rough. Nobody asked you to do this. Nobody expected it. I know. She took a breath. That's the problem. I wanted to. I needed to. And I don't know what that means. Ethan stood abruptly, pacing to the window. His reflection ghosted across the dark glass, broad shoulders tense, hands shoved in his pockets. I saw someone, he said quietly. A few months ago. A woman from my MBA program. She's successful, independent, shares my interests. She made it very clear she was interested in more than coffee. Lily's stomach dropped, but she kept her voice steady. Did you? No. He turned to face her. I couldn't. Because every time I tried to imagine a future with someone else, all I could see was you. You making that face when I burn toast. You reorganizing my bookshelf. You stealing my shirts because they're more comfortable than your own. His voice cracked. I couldn't move forward because I'm still stuck in the past, and the past looks like you. The confession hung between them, raw and dangerous. Lily's hands trembled as she set down her wine glass. There was someone for me too, she whispered. A client. He's kind, successful, asked me to dinner half a dozen times. I kept saying no. I told myself it was about professionalism, but that wasn't true. She forced herself to meet Ethan's gaze. I said no because he wasn't you. Nobody is you. And I hate that I still feel this way after everything. Ethan crossed the kitchen in 3 strides. He stopped just short of touching her, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from his body. Why did you agree to the divorce so quickly? He asked. I asked for it, yes. But you barely fought. You just agreed. Because I thought that's what you wanted. You kept talking about how different we were, how our goals didn't align. I thought I was doing you a favor by letting you go. And I thought you didn't care enough to fight for us. His laugh was bitter. We're idiots. Both of us. Certified idiots, Lily agreed, tears streaking her face. Ethan raised his hand slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he gently wiped her tears with his thumb. The touch was electric, familiar, devastating. I miss you, he said simply. I miss us. Not the fighting or the misunderstandings, but the small things. Grocery shopping together. Reading on the couch while you worked on your laptop. The way you'd hum while cooking, always slightly off-key. I miss you too. The admission felt like opening a wound that had never properly healed. But missing someone isn't enough. We had real problems, Ethan. Fundamental differences about what we wanted from life. Did we? Or did we just stop listening to each other? Before Lily could answer, they heard movement from the living room. Margaret's voice called out softly, Tom. Are you okay? The spell broke. Lily and Ethan stepped apart, the space between them suddenly cold and vast. They returned to their respective rooms without another word, but sleep remained elusive. The lie escalated 3 days later during Sunday dinner. Margaret had insisted on cooking despite everyone's protests, determined to create some normalcy. They gathered around the table, Tom in his wheelchair, Margaret fussing over portion sizes, Ethan and Lily playing their roles with practiced ease. You two have been so wonderful through all this, Margaret said, reaching across to squeeze Lily's hand. Taking care of Tom, being here every day. It just reinforces how lucky we are to have you as our daughter-in-law. Guilt twisted in Lily's stomach. You know what would make your father's recovery even better? Margaret continued, her eyes brightening with familiar hope. Some happy news. Something to look forward to. Tom groaned. Margaret, we talked about this. A baby, Margaret pressed on. Just think about it. A little one running around, giving Tom motivation to get stronger. It would be perfect timing with Lily working from home anyway. The silence that followed was suffocating. Lily felt Ethan's leg press against hers under the table, a warning, a question, a plea. We're actually, Lily heard herself say, the words escaping before rational thought could intervene. We're trying. Ethan's head whipped toward her. Margaret gasped. Tom looked skeptical. Really? Margaret's hands flew to her chest. Oh my God. Really? Yes, Lily continued, doubling down on the catastrophic lie. We've been trying for a few months now. We didn't want to say anything until we were sure, but, yes. We're trying for a baby. Ethan's expression was unreadable. But his hand found hers under the table, fingers intertwining in a grip that felt like either support or panic. Margaret burst into tears of joy. This is the best news. The best news ever. Oh, Tom, did you hear? We're going to be grandparents. After dinner, Ethan practically dragged Lily into his bedroom, closing the door firmly behind them. What the hell was that? He demanded in a furious whisper. I panicked. So you told them we're trying to have a baby. A baby, Lily. We're divorced. I know that. Do you think I don't know that? She sank onto the edge of his bed, head in her hands. God, what did I just do? Ethan paced the room like a caged animal. We have to tell them the truth. This has gone too far. We can't. Not now. Your dad is barely 2 weeks post-surgery. The stress could. And what happens in 3 months when there's no baby? 6 months. A year. Did you think this through at all? Of course I didn't think it through. I was trying to make your mother happy and she stopped, the weight of her mistake crashing down. I'm sorry. I'll tell them tomorrow that I was mistaken, that they'll know we lied. Ethan stopped pacing. Mom's not stupid. She'll put it together, the separate rooms, the careful distance, everything. The truth will come out anyway. They stared at each other, trapped in a disaster of their own making. So what do we do? Lily asked quietly. Ethan ran both hands through his hair. I don't know. I don't. He looked at her, really looked at her, and something in his expression shifted. We could make it convincing. What does that mean? The separate rooms. The distance. If we're supposedly trying for a baby, that doesn't make sense. He spoke carefully, like he was solving a complex equation. We'd need to share a room. Appear more couple-like. Lily's heart hammered. You want us to pretend to be intimate? I want us to sell the lie we've already committed to. Unless you have a better idea. She didn't. And that was the terrifying part. That night, Lily moved her things into Ethan's bedroom. It felt simultaneously foreign and familiar. She'd slept in this room 100 times before, knew the way moonlight filtered through the curtains, the sound of the radiator clicking to life at dawn. But this was different. This was deliberate. They established boundaries immediately. Ethan offered to sleep on the floor. Lily insisted they could share the bed. They were adults, perfectly capable of sleeping beside each other without incident. Neither of them believed it. The first night was excruciating. They lay on opposite sides of the king-sized bed, a canyon of space between them, both painfully aware of every breath, every movement. Around 3 a.m., Lily finally spoke into the darkness. This is ridiculous. Agreed. We're acting like teenagers who've never shared a bed before. We used to share this bed all the time, Ethan said quietly. I know. She rolled onto her side, facing his back. Do you remember the first night we moved in here? We didn't have furniture yet. Just a mattress on the floor and takeout boxes. Chinese food. Lo mein and spring rolls. His voice carried a smile. You fell asleep mid-sentence, still holding your chopsticks. You stayed awake all night because you were convinced someone would break in. The neighborhood was sketchy. It was perfectly safe. You were just paranoid. They fell silent again, but this time it felt different. Less tense. More, them. Lily. Yeah. Why did you really say we were trying for a baby? She considered lying, deflecting. But they'd built this disaster on lies already. Maybe truth was the only way out. Because for a moment, when your mom said it, about a baby, about the future, I wanted it to be true. Not just the baby, but the whole thing. The marriage, the partnership, the life we were supposed to build together. She swallowed hard. I wanted it so badly it hurt. So I lied to make it feel real, even for just a moment. The silence stretched so long she thought maybe he'd fallen asleep. Then she felt the mattress shift as he rolled over to face her. I wanted it too, he whispered. I still do. Every day, I want it. Their eyes met in the darkness, and Lily felt something crack open in her chest, all the careful walls she'd constructed, all the protective distance she'd maintained, crumbling like sand. What are we doing, Ethan? I have no idea. His hand reached across the space between them, palm up, an offering. But maybe we should stop pretending to know. Lily placed her hand in his. Their fingers intertwined, and for the first time in over a year, she let herself feel everything she'd been running from, the love that never died, the hope that refused to extinguish, the terrifying possibility that maybe, just maybe, they deserved a second chance. Living together again unraveled them both in unexpected ways. Small intimacies crept back into their daily routine like muscle memory, Ethan making her coffee exactly how she liked it, Lily stealing his hoodies when the apartment got cold, both of them navigating the kitchen in silent choreography perfected over years. But proximity also meant confrontation with everything they'd left unresolved. One evening, Lily was working at the kitchen table when Ethan came home looking haggard. He'd been putting in longer hours at work, trying to compensate for the flexibility he needed for his father's care. Rough day, she asked. He collapsed into the chair across from her. Richardson wants me to fly to Singapore. 3 weeks, maybe a month. Lily's stomach dropped. When? 2 months from now. It's a massive account. Could mean a promotion. He looked at her searchingly. But I'd miss everything here. Your dad's recovery. Yeah. That too. The unspoken and you hung between them like an accusation and a confession. You should go, Lily said carefully. It's a huge opportunity. Is it, though? I've been chasing these opportunities my whole career. Bigger titles, better salaries, more responsibility. And where has it gotten me? His laugh was hollow. Divorced, living a lie, sleeping next to my ex-wife every night pretending I don't still love her. Lily's pen slipped from her fingers. Ethan. We have to talk about this. Really talk about it. He leaned forward. What are we doing? We're sharing a bed, holding hands when we think no one's looking, having conversations at 3 a.m. that feel more intimate than anything we did in our actual marriage. But we never talk about what it means. Because I'm terrified, Lily admitted. Of getting it wrong again. Of hurting you. Of building something that's just going to collapse the moment reality hits. Reality is already here, Lily. We're living it. The question is whether we're brave enough to be honest about what we want. She stood abruptly, pacing to the window. Outside, the city glittered with possibility and danger in equal measure. I want to stop pretending, she said finally. I want to stop hiding from my feelings because I'm scared of being vulnerable. I want to stop running. She turned to face him. But I also want to make sure we're not just repeating old patterns because it's comfortable. We had real problems, Ethan. Fundamental disagreements about our future. Did we? Or did we both just assume we knew what the other wanted without actually asking? The observation hit like a physical blow because it was true. Lily had assumed Ethan wanted a traditional wife who prioritized family over career. Ethan had assumed Lily valued her independence more than their partnership. Neither had bothered to verify these assumptions until it was too late. So ask me, Lily challenged. What do you want to know? Ethan stood, closing the distance between them. Do you want children? Yes. Someday. But not right now, not when my business is finally taking off. She held his gaze. Do you need that traditional family structure you talked about? Wife at home, kids by 35, the whole suburban dream. I thought I did. But what I actually want is a partner. Someone who challenges me, who has their own dreams and ambitions, who doesn't need me but chooses me anyway. His voice softened. I want you, Lily. Exactly as you are, career, independence, and all. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because I didn't understand it before. I was so focused on what I thought I should want that I never stopped to examine what I actually wanted. He cupped her face gently. Losing you taught me the difference. Lily's eyes burned with tears. I want you too. I never stopped wanting you. But I need to know this is real, not just nostalgia or convenience. Then let's make it real. No more pretending for my parents or anyone else. Let's figure out what we actually want, from each other, from this relationship, from our future. And if it doesn't work, at least we'll know we tried with honesty this time. She kissed him. Not the careful, platonic gestures they'd maintained for appearances, but a real kiss, desperate and tender and full of everything they'd been holding back. Ethan responded immediately, arms wrapping around her waist, pulling her close like he was afraid she might disappear. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Lily laughed shakily. We're really doing this. Trying again. Yeah. Ethan pressed his forehead to hers. We're really doing this. From the living room, Tom's voice called out, Are you too decent? Margaret wants to FaceTime. They sprang apart, guilty as teenagers. But when their eyes met, they were both grinning. The next few weeks unfolded with tentative joy. They went on actual dates, dinner at the restaurant where Ethan had proposed, coffee at the bookstore where they'd spent their first lazy Sunday together. They talked honestly about their failed marriage, dissecting their mistakes with the kind of mature perspective that only comes from distance and growth. They also fought, small disagreements about household tasks, who was responsible for what, how to balance their individual needs with their relationship. But this time, they leaned into the conflict instead of avoiding it, learning to communicate without assuming the worst of each other. Tom's recovery progressed steadily. Physical therapy sessions became less frequent. Margaret returned home, though she visited often, always with casseroles and unsolicited advice about prenatal vitamins. "We need to tell them," Lily said one night after Margaret had left. "About the divorce, about everything." Ethan tensed. "Not yet. Dad's still fragile." "He's walking with a cane, Ethan. He's not fragile anymore. And we can't build a real future on lies." "I know. He sighed heavily. "I don't want to disappoint them. We'll disappoint them more if we keep lying." But before they could figure out how to break the truth gently, the decision was made for them. Lily's phone rang during a consultation call with a client. She ignored it. It rang again immediately. Then Ethan's phone buzzed with a text. "It's Mom," he said, his face going pale. Dad had another fall. The emergency room was becoming too familiar. This time, Tom had tripped on the stairs at home, re-injuring his healing hip and fracturing his wrist in the process. Margaret was inconsolable. "This is my fault," she kept saying. "I should have been watching him more carefully. I should have insisted on more railings. I should have." "Mom, stop." Ethan held her shoulders firmly. "This is nobody's fault. Accidents happen. But what if next time is worse? What if?" She couldn't finish the sentence. The doctor emerged with measured optimism. The hip hadn't broken again, just bruised badly. The wrist would need a cast. Tom would be fine, but he'd need to restart physical therapy and be more careful about mobility. When they were finally allowed to see him, Tom looked exhausted and irritated. "Don't fuss," he told Margaret immediately. "I'm fine. Just clumsy." "You're not fine. You're 73 and you keep falling downstairs. We need to make changes." "What changes?" Margaret's voice cracked. "I think we need to move to a single-story place. Or maybe assisted living. Somewhere safer." "Absolutely not. I'm not leaving our home." "Tom." "I said no, Margaret." They began to argue, their voices rising with fear and frustration. Lily and Ethan exchanged glances, both recognizing the painful echo of their own past conflicts, two people who loved each other, talking past each other instead of to each other. "Stop," Lily said firmly. Both Tom and Margaret turned to stare at her. "You're both scared. I get it. But you're not actually listening to what the other person is saying. You're just defending your positions." She looked at Tom. "Your wife is terrified of losing you. She's trying to keep you safe the only way she knows how, even if it means giving up the home you love." Then she turned to Margaret. "And your husband feels like he's already lost so much, his independence, his strength. Asking him to give up his home feels like asking him to give up the last piece of dignity he has left." Silence fell. Tom and Margaret looked at each other, really looked, probably for the first time since the accident. "I don't want to lose you either," Tom said quietly. "But I also don't want to spend whatever time we have left being treated like I'm made of glass." "I just want you to be safe," Margaret whispered. "Then help me be safe in our home. We'll install more railings, get medical alert buttons, whatever you need to feel better. But please, let me keep this one thing." Margaret started crying, and Tom pulled her close with his good arm. Lily felt Ethan's hand slip into hers, his grip tight with emotion. "They almost lost each other because they stopped listening," he said later in the car. "Just like we did. But they found their way back," Lily pointed out. "Just like we're doing. We still haven't told them the truth." "I know." She took a breath. "But maybe it's time we did. Not because they're fragile, but because they deserve honesty. Even if it's hard." Ethan nodded slowly. "After Dad's wrist heals. When things are more stable. We'll tell them everything, the divorce, the lie, the reconciliation. All of it. Promise. Promise." 6 weeks later, Tom was navigating the house with a cane, his wrist cast freshly removed. The crisis had passed. The moment had arrived. Lily and Ethan invited both sets of parents to dinner, not just Margaret and Tom, but Lily's parents too, who'd been visiting monthly and playing along with the charade with increasing discomfort. "Are you sure about this?" Lily's mother asked quietly while helping with dinner preparations. "Your father and I can keep the secret if you need more time." "No more secrets," Lily said firmly. "They deserve the truth. Everyone does." When they were all gathered around the table, Ethan cleared his throat. "We need to tell you something," he began. "Something we should have told you a long time ago." Margaret's face brightened. "Oh. Is it, are you?" "We're not pregnant," Lily said quickly. "Actually, the opposite. We got divorced. 18 months ago." The silence was deafening. Margaret's fork clattered to her plate. Tom's expression went carefully neutral. Lily's father sighed like he'd been expecting this. "I don't understand," Margaret said slowly. "You've been here. Together. You sleep in the same room. You said you were trying for a baby." "We lied," Ethan said, his voice heavy with guilt. "When Dad had his first health scare, we were worried the truth would make things worse. So we kept pretending. And then it spiraled. The lie got bigger and bigger until we didn't know how to tell you without it feeling like a betrayal. You thought lying was better than betrayal." Tom's voice was dangerously quiet. "No," Lily said quickly. "We were scared and stupid and we made the wrong choice. We're sorry. We're so sorry." Margaret stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. "I need air." She left the room. Tom followed her, leaving Lily and Ethan alone with Lily's parents. "Well," Lily's mother said after a moment. "That could have gone worse." "Could it have?" Lily asked miserably. Her father reached across the table, squeezing her hand. "Give them time. They're hurt. They have a right to be." 20 minutes later, Margaret and Tom returned. Margaret's eyes were red-rimmed but dry. Tom looked tired but resolute. "Sit," Tom said. They sat. "You lied to us," Margaret began. "For over a year, you looked us in the eye and lied. Do you understand how that feels? How betrayed we feel?" "Yes," Lily whispered. "We do. But here's what I don't understand," Tom said. "If you've been divorced for 18 months, why are you still here? Why move back in together? Why share a room? Why any of this unless—" He paused, eyes narrowing. "Unless you're not actually over each other." Ethan and Lily exchanged glances. "We're not," Ethan admitted. "We never were. The divorce was a mistake. We were both too stubborn and scared to admit what we really wanted until we were forced to spend time together again." "So you're back together?" Margaret asked carefully. "We're trying to be," Lily said. "The last few months, we've been rebuilding our relationship. Honestly this time. No assumptions, no avoiding difficult conversations. We're learning how to be partners instead of just roommates who love each other." "And the baby lie?" Tom asked. Lily winced. Panic and desperation. "We never should have said it. We were planning to come clean after you recovered from your fall." Margaret sank back into her chair. "I don't know whether to be furious or relieved." "Both are fair," Ethan said. "You hurt us," Tom said bluntly. "You treated us like we were too fragile to handle the truth. That hurt almost as much as the lie itself." "You're right," Lily said. "We were wrong. We were trying to protect you, but we were really just protecting ourselves from having to face the consequences of our divorce." The room fell silent. Then Margaret sighed, a sound heavy with exhaustion and something that might have been forgiveness. "I'm still angry," she said. "I'm going to be angry for a while. But I'm also grateful that you're giving each other another chance. You were good together. You could be good together again." "We don't want to be just good," Ethan said quietly. "We want to be better than we were before." Tom nodded slowly. "Then prove it. Not to us, to yourselves. Build something real this time." They talked late into the night, about mistakes and forgiveness, about second chances and earned trust. It wasn't a clean resolution. Hurt feelings didn't evaporate with explanations. But it was honest, and honesty felt revolutionary after so many months of performance. When everyone finally left, Lily and Ethan collapsed on the couch, emotionally exhausted. "That was horrible," Lily said. "Absolutely terrible," Ethan agreed. "But necessary. Definitely necessary." They sat in silence, fingers intertwined, the weight of truth feeling both heavy and freeing. "What now?" Lily asked. Ethan pulled her closer. "Now we do what we should have done the first time. We choose each other. Consciously. Completely. Every day. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard." 3 months later, they met with a lawyer, not for divorce papers, but for remarriage documents. "This feels circular," the lawyer joked. "Usually people don't come back to me for happy occasions." "We're complicated," Lily said, but she was smiling. They kept it small, immediate family only, in the same courthouse where they'd gotten married the first time. Margaret cried. Tom made a speech about second chances and forgiveness. Lily's parents looked quietly relieved. When the judge pronounced them married again, Ethan kissed her like he was making a promise, not to be perfect, but to be present. To listen. To choose her, again and again, even when it was difficult. That night, back in their apartment, truly theirs now, no more pretending, they lay in bed talking about the future. "I've been thinking about the Singapore opportunity," Ethan said. Lily tensed. "And? I want you to come with me." She turned to face him. "For a month. I can't just leave my business. Not for a month. For good. Or at least for a few years." He spoke quickly, like he was afraid she'd shut him down before he finished. "There's an incredible market for your consulting work in Singapore. You could expand internationally, build something even bigger. And I could take the promotion knowing I'm not sacrificing us for my career. You want to move? Together. I want us to build a life that works for both of us. Not me giving up opportunities for you, not you sacrificing your dreams for me. Both of us, together, creating something new." Lily felt tears prick her eyes. "That sounds terrifying and perfect. So is that a yes?" "It's a, let me think about it and do a cost-benefit analysis and research the market and probably panic for a few weeks before making a decision." Ethan laughed. "That's very you. But also." She kissed him softly. "It's a, I'm genuinely considering it because the idea of building a life with you, wherever that is, sounds like the best adventure I can imagine." They spent the next weeks planning, researching, arguing constructively about logistics and timelines. It felt good, the debate, the compromise, the mutual respect for each other's concerns and ambitions. Margaret took the news better than expected. "You'll visit, though. And FaceTime regularly. And send photos." "All of the above," Lily promised. "Plus you and Tom should come stay with us once we're settled. Grandchildren would be nice eventually," Margaret added hopefully. "Eventually," Ethan said firmly. "When we're ready." Tom pulled them both aside before they left for the airport. "I'm proud of you," he said. "Not because you're moving or because you're staying together, but because you learned from your mistakes. That takes courage." "We had good teachers," Lily said, hugging him tight. On the plane to Singapore, Lily held Ethan's hand as the city lights fell away beneath them. She thought about the year they'd lost, the lessons they'd learned, the love that had waited patiently for them to catch up with it. "No regrets?" Ethan asked. Lily considered the question, about divorce papers and second chances, about lies that led to truth, about broken things that could be rebuilt stronger than before. "No regrets," she said finally. "Just gratitude that we got another chance to get it right." Below them, the world spread endless and full of possibility. And for the first time in years, Lily wasn't afraid of what came next. Because whatever it was, they'd face it together. Not perfectly. Not without struggle or compromise or occasional late-night arguments about whose turn it was to do the dishes. But together. Choosing each other. Every day. And that was enough.